we're getting the party started in the NHL with NHL.com's Fantasy on Ice podcast host Pete Jensen, plus RotoWire's Paul Bruno and AJ Scholz. 9-game slate this evening, fellas. Need your best DFS plays. So, which center are you going to be paying up for this evening, Pete?
I'm going to go with Nazem Kadri for the Colorado Avalanche. I don't like the lack of consistency from the New York Islanders. I know that Sorokin has been great, but if this is Varlamov especially going tonight against the Avalanche either way have the overpowering matchup for sure. So I would spend up for Kadri. He's only had 3 different stretches this season of multiple games without a point, so good chance he bounces back from a rare goose egg the other day. And he ranks 6th in NHL points per game, minimum 20 games, with great split stats against the Eastern Conference. So give me Kadri all day, and probably a stack from the Avalanche in this matchup against the Isles.
All right, Paul, what do we think? Who are you paying up for at center?
You know what? You can go all the way to the top and blow your brains out on McKinnon, McDavid, and Aho. They all have pretty nice one-sided matchups, but I'm going to go a little bit lower in the center mix and find a couple of guys that are almost as hot as those guys, but maybe $2,000 or $3,000 cheaper. So Patrice Bergeron makes the grade, $6,400, centering one of the top lines in hockey still, although they've got a different look on one of the wings with DeBrusk filling in instead of Pasternak. So it hasn't slowed down Bergeron, and they looked like they were at practice last night in Los Angeles, rolling up a 7, and I think they could do the same thing in Anaheim tonight. And then Steven Stamkos against the Ottawa Senators. The Sens are really struggling offensively, and I think it's affected their overall game. Meanwhile, the Bolts are on another roll, and they're averaging over 4 goals a game in their last 5 games. So I think Stammer is in for a big night and only cost $6,300 here.
All right, AJ, who do you want to pay up for at center?
Pete's on the right team, but the wrong center. And Paul is, for whatever reason, fading him. I'm going to go all the way to the top, $9K for Nathan MacKinnon here. He's on a 7-game point streak that includes half a dozen goals. Look, it's actually not the best matchup, as Pete kind of alluded to here. The Isles have allowed 2.59 goals per game since we got into calendar year 2022. And Sorokin has been really good, but he's dead right. If for some reason Varlamov gets to start, then you absolutely should heavily stack. I do think even with, the fact that Edmonton has a better matchup against the Flyers, I still think you pay up that little bit extra, get McKinnon. He's just been too good and too goal heavy lately to avoid him.
All right. AJ's paying all the way up at center. How about the best winger for your DFS lineup? Who are you going with, Paul?
Well, again, I'm going back to that Boston Bruins lineup, and because I'm not blowing my brains out at center, I'm going to do it at the wing and take David Pasternak. He's been on a long-time roll, $7,900. Doesn't matter whether he's playing first or second-line minutes because he still gets that power play exposure, and that's a big reason why he's got the 43 shots and 10 points in his last 10 games played, and I expect that role to continue tonight against the Anaheim team that looks overmatched. Kyle Connor's been scoring against everybody, and tonight he gets a favorable matchup when Montreal comes to play against him. $7,300 his price tag. Another guy that's averaging almost 4 shots on goal a game. He's got 11 points in his last 10 starts. Brad Marchand, the straw that stirs the drink in Boston, is back in tow, and that's a good thing for Bruins fans. He comes in at only $7,100. I think he can have a big night here tonight. He's also pouring a lot of shots on goal of late and averaging better than a point per game in his last 10. And then finally Patrick Lioney might be the hottest of all these shooters. He's scoring against everybody and doing it with an economy of shots, only 31 shots to get his last 9 goals over 10 games played, again, costing only $7,000.
All right, AJ, you paid $9K for Nathan MacKinnon at center. Who are you going with at wing?
Well, I'll go further down, and I'll go with Wisconsin's own Cole Caulfield. The former Badger is red hot right now. And look, they're going up against the Jets. Montreal struggled this season, but the Jets have not been the defensive stalwarts this year that we're used to. Connor Hellebuyck has been, normal in terms of goaltending for much of the year, as opposed to some of his seasons where he seems superhuman. So I think there are opportunities to still use the Habs despite how bad they've been. And this is one of those. Caulfield has 10 points in his last 8 contests, and I would expect him to keep rolling here. He's just 5,300, so you're not breaking the bank at all.
All right, Pete, where are you going for the winger that you feel like you just need in your lineup?
Well, I definitely want a piece of the Carolina Hurricanes in their matchup against the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings, if you didn't check over the weekend, allowed 10 goals in a game. First time any NHL team has allowed double digits since December 2017. So that's a little alarming. So yeah, Teravainen with the top line exposure to Sebastian Aho is a great pick. And he's got an 8-game point streak with 11 points total in the span and 7 on the power play. So his power play production, he has a great matchup here against a vulnerable penalty kill in the Red Wings, and their goaltending is suspect right now. Even Nedeljkovic doesn't look very good. And then to echo what Paul said about Jake DeBrusk, the price is still about the same as what it was before he had the hat trick yesterday. He's got a 5-game point streak. You got to get DeBrusk in your lineup at the wing position. And I know he's technically in the value category, but he's like ride the hot hand category because whether he's going to stick on the top line with Bergeron and Marchand or he's going to get traded, he's boosting his stock either way right now.
All right, AJ, let's talk blue line. Which defenseman do you need to roster? Cale Makar is the third most expensive at $6,600.
Well, I think tonight's a good opportunity to spend up at those centers. Like, I think there might be an option to get McKinnon and maybe get Draisaitl in there. Maybe not McDavid if you really want a viable lineup. So I do think you need to be cost efficient on the blue line as well. And similarly to the Habs, I think there's spots where you can target the Devils. And going up against the Blue Jackets is a great opportunity. Columbus has been, as we've harped on the show, very spotty defensively. So I'll snag Dougie Hamilton here, 5,800 in this contest. 2 points since returning from injury, but perhaps more importantly, in those 3 games, 12 shots on net. I mean, that's a fantastic floor for a guy who's 5,800, less than 6K. He should continue to put plenty of rubber on net heading into this matchup with Columbus as well.
All right, Pete, think you need to save some money on the blue line here?
Yeah, you could save a little bit compared to AJ's pick. I like Shea Theodore for the Golden Knights. I think this is a right matchup against the Sharks. The Golden Knights have won like 10 in a row against this team, and they're getting Robin Lehner back. So that extra support on the back end will certainly have a ripple effect and allow players like Theodore to be more prioritizing their offense because they're not just completely worried about the back end like the past couple of weeks. Also, Noah Dobson is a nice gem. I know we're all over Colorado, but Dobson leads all NHL defensemen in goals with 9 since December 5th. So under the radar for sure, even though the Islanders are falling out of contention a little bit right now, Dobson is covering a lot of categories in DFS and especially goals, which are scarce at the defenseman position.
Paul, what do we think? Where are you going?
Well, because I saved some money at center, I can spend up on the wing. I told you about those, and I'm spending up on defense too. I'm going to take one of the following 3 guys. Victor Hedman, $6,800 is the price tag for a guy that's making a strong case to get back and win the Norris Trophy as the best defenseman in the league. His team's on fire offensively. He's been right in the center of that production, and I smell a big mismatch against the struggling Ottawa lineup. Then, in a bit of a contrarian play, I'm looking at Brett Burns of San Jose, $6,300 against Las Vegas club there. Over his last 4 games played, he's got 6 points, and Robin Lehner's making his return after an injury sidelined him for a couple of weeks, and I'm not sure we can expect the top performance from him. I think there's something going on there. So I'm looking for San Jose to actually pull an upset here. And finally, Charlie McAvoy of the Bruins. He's their power play quarterback, and this team is really rolling offensively. And the Anaheim Ducks goaltending is in serious disarray right now.
All right, who's the best DFS value play? AJ, don't think you caught the show yesterday, but I feel like Paul would want you to know he picked Jake DeBrusk as his value play. A nice little hat trick to start the week. So, who's your value play tonight, AJ?
This is why I needed a week off, just to not have to listen to Paul and the gloating here. But look, this is probably way too obvious of a play here. But Igor Sharangovich for the Devils at 3,800 almost has to be in your lineup. Like, goals in 4 straight games, points in his last 7. He's going up against the Jackets. Like, there's nothing about this that says he won't get some more opportunities. Looks like Elvis Merzlikins is going to get the start after being out for a while. Similar to what Paul said, a goalie returning from injury is not exactly the prime candidate to pitch a shutout here. So I think the Devils are a good team to stack tonight, and you can really get some great value with Sharon Govich, who's just been unstoppable of late.
All right, Pete, you mentioned Jake DeBrusk earlier, said he could be riding the hot hand tonight, but who are you going with your value play?
Yeah, DeBrusk is a great one. Sharon Govich stacked with Jack Hughes is a total no-brainer right now. I'm really excited about how Jack Hughes has been elevating his game since coming back from COVID. He's got like 4 straight multi-point games. So even at his price, 6,100, that's some good value there for sure. And then, you know, some of these other guys, I do think there's some sneaky value in the Detroit offense. So whether it's Filip Hronek, who had 4 points over the weekend against the Maple Leafs in that 10-7 game, or even if you want to look at like a Lucas Raymond, I mean, $4,200 for arguably the best rookie forward, most consistent rookie forward in the NHL this season. Sign me up for that. Just because Detroit's playing Carolina doesn't mean they can't drop 3 or 4 goals in a loss. So yeah, tap into the Detroit Red Wings. Don't be afraid of that, even with a daunting matchup.
All right, Paul, no pressure to keep the streak going. Who you going with for your value play?
Well, I told AJ, the producers have promised us that they'll highlight strong performances. So that's all they're doing here. It's nothing that I did. I'm just delivering. In any case, one of the 3 guys that I'm about to mention might wind up in the feature tomorrow. Alex Kellorn is still not getting respect in terms of the DK prices. He's playing top 6 minutes alongside the big boys, scoring regularly, gets a soft matchup tonight against Ottawa, still only costs $4,500. I'm all in there. Nico Hischier on a scoring line role in New Jersey, producing big time as well most recently, still only priced $4,500. The goaltending in Columbus is suspect as well. And then Riley Smith, again, a guy who's been front and center offensively for this club all season long, only $4,200 against San Jose, and we know their goaltending is suspect as well. So the profile for these 3 players is similar, and the price point is cheap. Go grab at least one of them.